Today I have a cool vintage typography tutorial in Adobe Illustrator brought to you by Satori Graphics. Before the vintage typography tutorial in Adobe Illustrator, I quickly want to tell you guys about inkfootage.com, who are sponsoring today's video. Ink Footage offer a super high quality footage of ink blots, ink runs, and ink droplets that are perfect to use in your video projects. As you can see here by the demonstration edits, the quality and professionalism is very high on their downloads. You have a wide range of choice to be able to edit in your imagery, text, and audio right into Ink Footage downloads. They have separate downloads on their website, but you can purchase the entire bundle that includes over 15 GB of cool ink footage with a $20 discount if you use the code Satori. So if you're into video editing and video production, here's your chance to get a wide range of cool ink footage for your future projects. Follow the links in the description below. The first thing we need to do is to generate a dark background using the rectangle tool and then locking it in place. We now need to add our typography onto the design. I'm using a font called Mostardo. To turn the typography into an actual vector shape, go up to Type and create outlines. You can then ungroup the lettering to adjust the layout of your typography until you see fit. The next step is to unite everything in the Pathfinder window. Using the Alt Option key, duplicate your text because we're going to need a copy later. At this stage, do not adjust the size or the layout of your typography as they need to be both the same size. Open the Appearance panel so we can add a stroke that sits behind the fill. Add a cream kind of colour stroke and then drag the stroke behind the fill. You can then add a fill, and I'm going to use a kind of washed out brown colour for my vintage typography. Bump up the stroke weight, and if on your text you have some anomalies, open up the stroke window and choose the round off stroke cap on your vintage typography. Adjust the colour palette so you have the exact same cream stroke selected only. And then using the pen tool and hold it down shift, draw a perfectly straight line. Lower the stroke to something like 1 and then duplicate it over and over again using the Alt Option key. Don't worry about the distancing being equal at this point because we're going to resolve that soon. Once you have a nice selection of lines like I do here, open up the Align window and then align everything with these two settings. The lines appear different thickness on screen, but if you zoom in you realise they're all equal sizes. Lock your vintage typography in place so it doesn't move around on your Illustrator canvas. Now we want to adjust the stroke weight of each line so the thickest one is at the top. You can hold down Shift to select multiple lines at once and change the stroke weight with just one click. So here is how your vintage typography design should look in Adobe Illustrator. Drag and place your lines over the typography, and this next part is going to take some time, but I cannot find a quicker way to go about it. Firstly, however, make sure the lines are not rounded off in the stroke window. And I advise you to tackle 3 lines at a time. Using the scissor tool, click on the lines where you want to cut into them, where the line will cover the text. So go along each line 3 at a time and make your cuts. Once you've made the cuts, take the selection tool and remove the unwanted sections. Then with the 3 lines selected only, outline the stroke. You can then use the direct selection tool to adjust the line into place for your vintage typography design. Like I said, this is going to take some time, but be careful and pay close attention to what you're doing. So here's my vintage typography design so far in Adobe Illustrator. We have just a few finishing touches to make now. Unlock everything and then relock the background layer only. Select your design and bring it to the front, and then pull over the typography copy and place it behind in a way that's going to act like a shadow. Change the color to a dark brown, and then stay tuned for the finishing touch. I've changed the background color of my design to light brown. You can use the direct selection tool to change the shadow so it covers the background of the design better. This is going to help tie the vintage typography design together a whole lot more. Lastly, we can add a drop shadow in Illustrator to the typography. It may take a while for you to get the effect right by adjusting the settings, but use the preview option and change the settings until you're very happy. And here's my final settings for the drop shadow. And there you have it, a vintage typography tutorial in Adobe Illustrator, brought to you by Satori Graphics. If you enjoyed or found this tutorial useful, let me know in the comment section below. Also remember to check out ink footage via the link in the description, and use the code Satori to get $20 off the 15GB bundle. Subscribe to Satori Graphics for 4 weekly graphic design uploads. And until next time, design your future today. Peace.